Alright, so it all began one day when this little girl accidentally tattoos her whole body, and she's like, "Mommy, am I going to hell?" "Yes, sweetie, yes you are." So mom dips out and puts Celine Dion in charge of her kid, who's all like, "Not to worry, Rumi, the path to salvation is still possible. All you have to do is become the biggest K-pop artist in the entire world, and no one will care that you brought absolute shame upon your family." So she sets her up with these two other girls to form the group Huntrix. And thanks to a combination of Zoe's lyrical genius, Mira's high fashion aesthetic, and Rumi's, they end up getting really big, like almost beating out Blackpink on Spotify big. They take a much needed vacation on the world's most comfortable couch, but Rumi decides to violate their contract with SM Entertainment and prematurely releases their latest single. And their manager Bobby is like,
"Let's go! Let's go, lesbians, let's go!"
Anyway, the song's an absolute banger, but then Rumi loses her voice right before the Mama Awards, and Zoe's like, "Bro, don't fret. I know a guy in a dark alley who can hook us up with some miracle juice. Just one sip and it'll keep your vocal cords fresh for upwards of 10 years. So they go meet this guy, and dude hands them a box of Kool-Aid packets and sends them on their merry way. But then they run into these fuckboys on the way home, and Mira and Zoe are like, and Rumi's like, "Girls, stop. You can't just objectify random men on the street like that. It's like a total double standard or something." At least until this one main character looking guy does that whole shoulder bump thing to her that you see in the K-dramas. And then she's all like, so, these gaggle of beefcakes are a K-pop boy group known as the Saja Boys, and despite their name being deprived from the word Jaeosun Saja, aka Messengers of the Underworld, they're actually pretty good people. I mean, just look at these guys, what with their soda pop music, assisting the local neighborhood kids, and air humping some old ladies. Who wouldn't want them rummaging around the area? Apparently Huntrix, cause they're all like, "Wow, these guys are upstanding citizens who make great music and make positive contributions to the greater community. Let's kill them." But because it would draw too much attention to kill them in the middle of a park, they wait until the boys are on live TV, broadcasting to millions of viewers. But the boys manage to escape, and bro, am I tripping, or was that one dude piggybacking off the other guy? Anyway, Mira and Zoe figured that if they can't kill them literally, they can at least kill them musically. But then Rooms is like, "Guys, you think maybe we're going too far here? I mean, all they've done so far is perform catchy music and be really nice to their audience. It doesn't matter. They're a boy band, and all boy bands deserve to die a slow, miserable death. What about Bobby? He used to be a member of EXO, and we all love him. Oh, we're gonna kill him too. We're just waiting on a callback to make sure that the life insurance will kick in." Yeah, so between her friend's vigilantism and the Kool-Aid being cherry flavored, Rumi's kinda in a funk right now. At least until this absolutely adorable kitty cat comes by with a message from her bias, Genu, and she meets with him on a random person's rooftop so he can reveal his tragic backstory. 400 years ago, I made a deal with the King of Demons in order to pull myself out of the throes of abject poverty. I was soon granted access to the Imperial Castle, but left my mother and sister behind to live in a squalor while I basked in the decadence of my sins. The guilt became too much to bear, and I could do nothing as the last shred of my humanity was stripped away from me. And now I must act as a slave to the devil himself as his voice laughs in my ear, constantly reminding me that the crimes I've committed will plague me for all of my earthly existence. Yeah, sure. Hey, can I ask where you got your tattoos from? What? Sure, there's a parlor in my neighborhood that I go to sometimes, but why is that? Okay, bye! So, Rumi comes up with a crackerjack plan to save both their asses. Once Huntrix wins the Mama Awards, they'll use their newfound influence to sponsor tattoo parlors across the nation, thereby eliminating the one and only cause of Genu's suffering. But before all that, the two bands end up doing a joint meet and greet, and upon seeing questionable evidence that Rumi and Genu may be having an illicit love affair, the fans do something completely unprecedented by being completely normal about it. You know, honestly, I kinda had to give this movie props for not making K-pop fans look like a bunch of parasocial weirdos. As someone who's not really deep into the whole idol scene, it seems to have a very generous view of the industry at large. It would have been very easy for them to make the obvious jokes about purity culture and stalkers and shit, but this is an all ages movie. So by far, the worst thing the fans ever do here is ship real life group members together. This is less Oshi no Ko and more Zombieland Saga. If their intent was to convince newcomers that being an idol in the K-pop industry is the best job in the world, then I have to say, it's kind of working. Eventually, the big night finally arrives, and Rumi sees it fit to pull her friends aside and be like, guys, I have this really major secret that I need to tell you moments before the biggest performance of our entire careers. And Mira's like, girl, we know about your tats already, okay? No one gives a shit. Really? Wait, how did you even find out? I was so careful about wearing turtlenecks and never exposing my skin to you two. Oh, we caught a glimpse of them during that one practice session when you started scissoring us in the recording booth. Oof, was that the first time or the second time? The 38th time. Anyway, Huntrix manages to come out on top, and Rumi's body art actually goes over very well with the crowd. So all's well that ends well, right? Well, no. Turns out K-pop boy groups are all demonically evil, because the Saja boys do some nasty work and reveal that those Kool-Aid packets Rumi took was actually medicinal marijuana, and girl suddenly becomes the biggest war criminal in the entire country. She dips out to try and seek advice from Celine, but the lady's like, girl, why couldn't you have just slaughtered a child or something? Why did it have to be weed? That's when Rumi realizes that the only way to come back from a scandal of this magnitude is to own that shit. She and the girlies roll up on stage and start belting out the metalist power ballad about generational trauma ever conceived, and the Saja boys disintegrate on sight. Their boss, the Guima, however, is kind of a dirtbag, and tries to impose divine punishment on them for fucking up his evil plans. But then Jinu is like, nuh-uh, and he tells Rumi that, you saved my soul, and now I give it to you. So they killed the Guima, restored the Hon Moon, and the whole world loves them again. I mean, sure, they lost 90% of their netizens, ruined their main source of income, and have been blacklisted from every record label in the country, but hey, at least they're not banned from the bathhouse anymore. And Rooms is like, you know what, guys, maybe it won't be so bad being independent artists. I mean, we get to choose our own schedule, we can date whoever we want, and best of all, they didn't take our couch away. Yeah, having your fan base reduced to a smaller, more dedicated group really puts some perspective on the things that do matter. Our mental health and well-being? Nope, telling little girls to give us money. Knocking you out like a lullaby. Hear that sound ringing in your mind. Better sit down for the show, 'cause I'm gonna show you how it's done. Huntrix, don't miss how it's done. Huntrix, don't quit how it's done. I'm not just trying to extend this video's runtime so I can run more ads. Huntrix, show this how it's done.